And Joe Montana on with the morning guys. Tell you what, there is something about listening to one of the greatest. And when they talk and they make a statement, you just take it to the bank. You take it to the bank. You know, like Joe Montana could say, Christian McCaffrey's a great running back. And then you can say, well, now it's official. Christian McCaffrey is a great running back. That's what I always think of when I think of guys as great as Montana talking. We're going to play some of that throughout the show, but Evan, what'd you think of that?
Well, it's always interesting when you listen to greats, especially from previous generations. And a guy like Joe Montana, I didn't have the chance to watch, when I was a kid because I was too young. But you just hear, and it kind of aligns with all the stories, the way that he used to talk, the clips you see of him. He's just Joe Cool. Like, even now, at his age, the way he's speaking about whether it's his whiskey, whether it's his takes on football, the 49ers, everything about him just emits cool, calm, collective. And it's so apparent that was obviously the guy that you would want to be in your huddle, that you would want to be addressing your team, that you would want to be representing your organization. Because even now, he's not as sharp as he used to be, but there's just something about him. You listen, you say, man, let me just sit back and take a cool drink.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll play some of the interesting clips of the Joe Montana interview. I thought he had about 4 or 5 really interesting things to say. The other thing we're going to get into today, and I don't know why it just is starting to hit me like this, but Nick Bosa, and maybe it's not hitting anybody else like this, but are you really going to make Nick Bosa the highest paid defensive player in the history of football?
You better.
So, okay, now you've decided you're going to do that, or you have to do that. Mm-hmm. What if that's not enough? Because I don't think that's enough. Because if it were enough, I think the 49ers would pay it. I think he wants more than just $1 more than Aaron Donald.
So, for example, TJ Hawkinson, tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, just signed per annual the longest or the most lucrative contract by a tight end. He just surpassed Darren Waller, made $17 million per year last year. Hawkinson's getting 17.1.
Okay.
So technically he has the record,
right,
but it's like a penny on top, or whatever the Ricky Henderson thing is. Right. Give me $1 more than the next guy. So you think that Nick Bosa is looking at Aaron Donald and not saying, I don't want just 31.8. Yeah. I want somewhere between 35 and 40. I want to kill this market.
Or even 32, 33 might be. And what if he wants more years than the 49ers want to give him, or fewer years? What if the Niners say, look, if we're going to pay you that much, this has got to be 5 or 6 years? And he says, no, 3, and then I'll become a free agent again and reconquer the highest paid defensive player. This is what, remember when John Lynch way back said, we're going to get something done, but it's going to be complicated? I think this is what he means. If you're going to make Bosa the highest paid player, and we're talking about annually, essentially, then what if there's a big year differential? Like, to me, it would sound like if the Warriors are going to make if the 49ers are going to make this commitment to Bosa, they probably want a lot of years on it, I would think. But maybe Bosa doesn't want a lot of years, just wants 3 and big money over 3 years, something like that.
Well, and that's the way I read it too. Like, logically, you'd say, okay, he got hurt in college, tore his ACL his sophomore season in the NFL. Why wouldn't he want years and stability? Well, the answer is because there's someone right behind him, and his name is Micah Parsons, who no matter what Nick Bosa gets this offseason, Micah Parsons is going to get more.
Okay.
He's got a resume that rivals only Lawrence Taylor. He's going to get more money. So if you're Nick Bosa, sure, you do want the guaranteed money that Aaron Donald got, which was 100%, if not close to it. You want that. But I think Nick Bosa at age 25 going on 26 is saying, if I get 6 years, I'll have my money. But at age 31, they're not going to want to pay me a record-setting deal at that point.
Right.
If I ask for 3 years, I can get 100, 110 easy, fully guaranteed. And after that, I'll be age 28. I'll still be in the thick of my prime. I'll still be one of, if not the best defensive players in football. And then I can go get even more because that market is going to be reset, if not once, perhaps twice by the time that I'm a free agent again. And San Francisco, by that point, might need to pay a quarterback, might need to pay another position. So at that point, I'm going to be the most sought-after defensive player by my own team, yes, but if they decide they want to play hardball again, I can go and get my money anywhere. I think Nick Bosa is trying to double up, whereas the 49ers are trying to say, we want to lock you in for a long time because we believe, obviously, you're that good, you're that impactful, but also to kind of protect themselves financially from what Nick Bosa may be asking for in 3 years.
You know what? That's a great point. And maybe what we're looking at is Bosa saying, look, give me 3 years at 32 or 32 to 35. That gets me over Aaron Donald. Or you know what? If I'm as important as you think I am, why not? Why not just how many years is too many years for the San Francisco 49ers? Do you think they would give Nick Bosa a 6-year 6-year contract where it would start out this first year, let's say, more than Aaron Donald? So it would go 32, 33, 34, 36, 38, 40. That's a lot of money.
It is. He's asking for quarterback money, and I think he deserves it.
Which quarterback?
Daniel Jones just got 40 a year.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not disagreeing.
I would personally rather have Nick Bosa than Daniel Jones. I know that quarterback is a more important position generally.
Right.
But Nick Bosa's proven. Danny Dimes is a guy who can beat your boy Kirk Cousins in a playoff game, that's for sure. But
don't do this. The game where Kirk Cousins was 31 for 39, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and they scored 30 points. I mean, what do you want? It's a defensive loss. It's not on Kirk. It's not on Kirk. Don't do that.
Yeah, he just auto-drafted that game. We will get to that. The thing about Nick Bosa that I find interesting is, like, when John Lynch said that things are going to take time, it's going to be complicated, I don't know if he even thought it would get to this point. You never know when you're resetting the market, but I think just because of how many quarterbacks have done it over the years, like the top 15 players in the league, 2 or 3 of them are not quarterbacks, but I think that Nick Bosa is also starting to, like, you're looking at wide receivers.
Right.
Their money has been hugely increased to the point where Justin Jefferson's probably going to get 30 plus. Like, he's going to be getting quarterback money this offseason. Nick Bosa wants quarterback money. Micah Parsons is going to want quarterback money. Offensive linemen got paid a ridiculous amount to the point where the 49ers didn't feel comfortable paying Mike McGlinchey $87 million. Like, the figures are so high, and the cap is rising, but I think that not at the rate currently that these players are asking for bread. And so if you're the 49ers, you do have the ability to pay Nick Bosa because you got Brock Purdy, ideally your quarterback, on his rookie deal for the next 2 years. But then after that, that's why if you're saying, okay, do we really want to align Nick Bosa's extension with around the time that we're going to have to pay or think about paying a quarterback?
True.
Then you're having 2 albatross contracts that take away from other positions. And unless you're supremely sold on a guy like the way the Chiefs are with Patrick Mahomes, that's why they can give him 10 years.
Sure. Because
he accounts for so many other positions that we don't need to pay Tyreek Hill. We can go win a Super Bowl without him.
And this is what I'm trying to extract from the Bosa situation now that we're getting about 10 days out, is I believe, and I'd love to hear how 49ers feel about this at 888-957-9570. My feeling is that if Bosa simply wanted to be the highest paid defensive player, if you want to use the $1 more than Aaron Donald example, that's fine. But he wants more than Aaron Donald. I think the 49ers would go there and do that. But I think he wants more. And it's a number that's more uncomfortable for the 49ers, and that's where we're at. So I feel like, well, Nick Bosa wants more than just to be the highest paid player, because I feel like the Niners, they'd make him the highest paid player on that annual salary thing, right? So then it comes down to how much more than Aaron Donald does Bosa want, and then how many years does Bosa want, and how many years do the 49ers want to give him? And I don't know the answers to that, but I do think you have something with your theory of Bosa's 25 now. Does he really want to negotiate another contract at 31? No, he'd rather do it at 28 if you take the whole injury thing off the table, which he's 25. He's got no reason to believe he won't have a career for the next 6 to 8 years.